Hey gang, it's Mr. Cassidy and Mr. Bones with another edition of Science Vids. And it's a little chilly in here, so I got my scarf on Mr. Bones, trying to make him comfortable. And we're here today to talk about carnivorous plants. Oh my gosh, carnivorous plants. What does that mean? What is carnivorous? Well, that means meat eating. Wait a minute. Meat eating plants? Yeah, that's right. Plants that eat meat. Oh, you mean like bugs and stuff? Yes, and mice and birds and other things. So we're going to get into this really fascinating topic of carnivorous plants. Okay, first of all, what's the deal? How come there's so many carnivorous plants in bogs? Well, bogs are places that have really low nutrients. There's not much stuff for plants to eat. There's low oxygen. Plants in bogs don't grow very big generally, and you have to be a very specific type of plant to be able to survive in this kind of habitat. And you can see in this photo here, these are all big, these are pine trees, but they're all really small because there's just not a lot of nutrients to go around. And these trees can be, this little guy here might be 50 or 100 years old, but look at how teeny it is. It just doesn't grow very big. It's never going to grow very big because there's just low oxygen, low nutrient soil conditions. And so carnivorous plants, which grow in bogs a lot of times, have figured out a way to find nutrients somewhere else besides the soil. They attract these bugs in, or animals. They attract animals inside of them, basically, and then they kill them and eat them. It's pretty gnarly. But this is why you find a lot of carnivorous plants in bogs, is because there's just not a lot of food for plants. Okay, so we have two different species of carnivorous plants on the Olympic Peninsula. Here's our peninsula here. This is us over here. Port Angeles is kind of at the top there. And then we're got all these mountains to the south. And one of these plants, the sundew, grows in bogs. And it's got all these little droplets. Looks like water. It's actually really sticky stuff. So like when an insect lands on this plant, and it lands on this plant because it smells good. It smells like rotten flesh, actually, which smells good to flies and stuff because flies like rotten flesh. It lands on this sundew, is what this plant's called, and it sticks to these little pads that have these little sticky droplets on them. And then you know what happens next.
Sticky and trap the bug. The wispy tentacles curl around the insect, holding it tightly and maximizing the number of hairs it touches, which speeds up digestion.
Wow, that was a time-lapse video, so that happened really fast. In real life, that's going way slower, but they sped it up so that they could fit it into the video. You could see what's actually happening. But those little flies land on the sticky pads, and then the leaves curl up. It crushes the bud. It dissolves it. They have these like special juices in the plant that they drip into the fly, and the fly just dissolves, and the leaves absorb the fly's nutrients. They absorb the fly's bodies. Well, it's totally gnarly. The other carnivorous plant we have is called a bladderwort, and it's more up in the mountains. You'll find it more in the high country. It'll be on like little streams. They like little wet areas, and it looks like just a really purple, mellow little flower until you get down close, and you can see the leaves are all covered with little bugs that got stuck in the sticky little basal leaves. Ooh, and the digestive enzymes are all being released to the bugs, and it's dissolving them, and the plant is eating the nutrients. Yeah. Sorry, guys. But, the plant's making a living, and everybody's got to do what they got to do. And this bladderwort has figured out a way how to eat bugs in nutrient-poor soils. How cool is that? So that's bladderwort. So, yeah, if you're ever out hiking the mountains and you see a little purple flower like that growing on a stream, Bend down low and see if it's got these little leaves right near the bottom where the stem meets the ground. And see if there's any bugs growing on those sticky little basal leaves. Okay, now this is a really cool plant. It's a Darlingtonia, is the fancy scientific name. People call it the cobra lily because it looks like when a cobra is standing up, and its hood all expands. It looks like that, so they call it a cobra lily. It's not really a lily, but kind of looks like one. And these grow in other spots in Washington. You could grow these like in your backyard if you wanted, but they're just not native to where we are. But they grow down in California and Oregon, and over in the mountains by Seattle, but just not on our peninsula. Here's a little map of where they do grow. So they grow over there, kind of around Seattle, north of Seattle, California, Oregon, but just not where we are. And so what happens with these guys is they also have something that smells really good to bugs, kind of like rotten flesh. A lot of bugs like rotten flesh, and the bugs crawl up into the opening up here. Ooh, I can smell it. The smell's getting stronger. They go down the hood and at the base, and that's where the smell is coming from. But there's a pool of digestive juices down here that are going to drown the bug. And the bug realizes what's happening. It's like, oh no, there's nothing rotten and good to eat down here. I'm going to get out of here. They try to fly back up, but they get disorientated. They kind of get lost, even though they're going right back up the way they came. The cell walls of the plant are very thin up here, and so light comes through, and it looks like they're going towards the sun, the bugs, but they just hit the wall. And they go this way. Oh, they hit the wall, and they get exhausted, and eventually they get so tired, they give up, and they just fall back into the fluid at the bottom of the plant, and they drown. And the plant, again, digests their bodies and eats these little bugs. So these plants kind of have a different strategy than the other ones we were looking at, where it needs to get them into this chamber, and then it just confuses them with this like big, brightly colored hood, and the bugs like think that they're flying out of there. They think they're flying towards the sun, and they just hit the walls, and eventually they get so tired. Oh, and also the inside of these are very slippery, so it's hard for the bugs even to land on the plant on the inside, and they just start slipping, and they'll slip down to that bowl of fluid at the bottom. Ooh, grisly death. No, thank you. Okay, this is a Venus flytrap. This is a different type of carnivorous plant. This one actually like snaps and crushes the bugs real quick like. And here's a little video of that. There's a little fly with their little sucker proboscis. Ooh, and see, yeah, there's those little teeny needles that are sticking out. And that's like a little trap line. And if they hit that, let's play it again. If they hit that little needle that's sticking out, there's a bunch of them. If they hit one of those little needles hard enough, it trips the plant. It's like a trap that's set, and then it crushes them. It releases those two, and then it's got all those spikes that stab the bug, and then the leaves close and crush it, and the bug is eaten. Ooh, so grisly. Sorry, guys. Today's kind of a scary episode. Actually, Mr. Bones, why don't you look this way for this next one? It's kind of creepy. Okay, this is the world's biggest meat-eating plant. Attenborough's pitcher plant. These are called pitcher plants. And you can actually find these like at Safeway for sale. Like in Safeway, they have all those flowers for sale when you first walk in. And we've got some growing at my house at home. They're really easy to take care of. They look really cool, but they have these big kind of bowls hanging off the plant. There'll be like a bunch of them from the same plant. Or they look like pitchers, like water pitchers kind of. And this is the biggest one in the world. It grows down in Southeast Asia, off these islands, and in Madagascar too. And this thing, the biggest one ever found, is 4.9 feet tall. That's bigger than all you kids. It's a little bit smaller than Miss Bowman. It's almost as big as Miss Bowman. So, I mean, these are some real big, freaky plants. Okay, the pitchers are about a foot in diameter. So you can think about a foot is about like that. But the length of a piece of paper, that's how big the openings of these things are. Mind-boggling. What's this? They're able to eat and digest rodents and other small animals Whoa. Oof. There it is. Bird feathers. Dead rodent. Salamander. No, I love salamanders. Man, these carnivorous plants are just brutal. They'll eat anything that falls in there. But not everything that goes inside dies. Get this, there's all these animals that use these pitcher plants as like protective little homes. They'll come and get out of the rain because they have these little hoods that grow off the top of them. And in exchange for hanging out and letting them stay there, uh, these frogs, rodents, and bats all poop into the pitcher. And the pitcher plant eats the poop. There's nutrition in the poop. And that's what the pitcher plant eats mostly. It's not animals. It's not dead animals. Um, Although occasionally rodents will fall in there, bats will fall in there, frogs will go fall in there and die, and the pitcher plant will eat those. But mostly what these pitcher plants are eating is the poop of these animals that hang out inside of them. So here's a little picture of a bat, kind of right behind my face and right below my face and Mr. Bones. They've like kind of cut away the leaf so you can see that inside there's a bat sleeping, hanging, and sleeping the day away, or maybe getting out of the rain or something like that. Um, and it's in there just pooping, and the poop falls into the pool of water and gets dissolved, and that's what the pitcher plant is eating. And get this, specific bat species have specific pitcher plant partners. They're like just the right size to be able to fit down into the pitcher. And they're like a little too small for this one over here, and they're a little too big for this one over here. There's some pitcher plants that are just right. How do they find these things in a forest with thousands of flowers, with hundreds of different types of pitcher plants? Okay, well, bats, they echolocate, right? They send out these little sonic bursts, these little like, these little, it's called echolocation. They send out these little energetic bursts, and this sound waves bounces off of objects, returns to the bat, and the bat makes kind of a map in its brain based on how fast one of these little sonic bursts comes back to them, or at what angle it comes back to them. If it hits a flat surface, it sounds a certain way. If it hits a angled surface, it sounds a little bit different. And so bats are constantly sending out these little noises and receiving them back, making a little map in their head, and that's how they kind of fly around in the darkness without being able to see anything with their eyes. Is this echolocating that they're doing? Well, they find the exact right pitcher plant partner by doing the same thing. If you can see there, there's like a certain angle that the roof of this pitcher plant has with the lower part, and the bats are looking around for that little angle that has a specific sound to them. And once they find that, you can see the sound radiating out from the back of the plant here. Once they hear that certain pitch, they know that that's a pitcher plant that they can go and sleep in. And so they hone in on it and they fly in there. Ah, yes, this is the one. And they climb inside and they fall asleep and they rest the daytime inside these things. Wow, how about that? That is just mind-blowing stuff. So that's the end of our Carnivorous Plants episode. Okay, now you can look back here, Mr. Bones. Oh, no, it's really scary. Okay, turn back that way. And we're going to sign off, and we'll see you next time. This is Mr. Casty and Mr. Bones, broadcasting from the storage closet. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Do, 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 do.